So we're going to get to the tagline in just a minute. So, maybe about 15 years ago, I was at a wedding reception. I since I've learned my lesson. Kidding. Not really. So, there was a woman standing like over there on the end of the door there. And she had that look on her face, like she's going to come and she's going to give me, she's going to she's got something to say. When you see someone, you just know that they're itching. So it was time for dinner, and they were calling us inside. And she said, "Do you have a moment?" I said, "No. I have to go to Grace." She said, "Well, don't move." So I didn't move. She says, "You know why I don't go to church anymore?" And I said, "No, I don't know who you are, first of all." She proceeded to tell me she was the aunt of the bride. And she went on with all of these reasons why she didn't go to church anymore. And at the end, she looked at me and she goes, "And you know why, Father? Basically, I don't get anything out of it." So now, being Irish, German, and Italian, I'm always calm, cool, and collected. So the hair's going back up on my neck. My blood pressure was probably 250 over 150. And I said, "Now take a deep breath. Don't hit her. Don't yell back at her, because she's only going to come back at you." So I grabbed her hand, just gently, and I looked at her and I said, "And tell me, you don't get anything out of it. What do you bother to put into it?" "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, when you go, do you bring your heart? Do you bring your soul? Do you sing?" You guys do, by the way. "Do you pray?" You do. And she looked at me and she goes, I don't like this conversation anymore. Don't you have to go to Grace?" I said, "Yeah, I do." But it made me think of something. And I heard a priest say this years ago. Whenever even one person is missing from the community is less. Because one less person is there with their support and their love. One less person is there with their gifts and their talents. And one of the things we've been trying to emphasize during our discipleship series is the fact that we are all evangelizers. And sometimes that isn't always easy. But we know, you probably either live with people or live next door to people or down the street from people who should be here. And they're not. And so our community is less. So what are the obstacles from this unity? Because where there is unity, there is victory. Maybe sometimes people are apathetic. Just like that woman about even coming to Mass. I don't get anything out of it. Or perhaps sometimes, I know this will be a shock, people gossip. I do sometimes. Guilty as charged. Sometimes that can create a difficult situation, can't it? And it keeps us from being a community, doesn't it? The reality is that when we come together, good things happen. Just look at the events of the last week. Do we need to talk anymore about what it means, to come together as a country? People sometimes don't want to listen to one another. We just dig our heels in and we say, this is the way it's going to be. And it need not be that way. It need not be that way, folks. Because when there is such disunity, there can never be unity. And yet, if we look at the early church, this is exactly what Jesus taught his first disciples, how to live in community. Some of you are old enough to remember the 60s, like I am. Remember the communes and all that kind of stuff? that was going on. Maybe there's a little something to that. Coming together and sharing the goodness and the gifts that we have with each other. That's what being church is really all about. And so there are obstacles that keep us from being as unified as we can be. I want a church where everyone is welcome, don't you? A church, no matter what we look like, our race, our ethnicity, where we come from, how much money we have, how educated we are, that doesn't matter. It didn't matter to Jesus, nor should it matter to you and me. Secondly, we need to be ministers to each other. I'm one person, okay? But together, we make a community. And so, while I'm called to minister and serve here at Sacred Heart, we are called to minister to one another. There's days that I'm tired, and I need Fred to come over and tell me, it's okay, I'm not tired anymore. Yes, I am. But we have to minister to each other. That's so important. And lastly, we have to accept and understand the fact that we are called to this unity. I was texting, this owl doesn't have pockets like the others, so I have to keep doing this, I'm sorry. I have my cell phone. Now, I normally don't turn this on during Mass, but I want you to hear something from a recent college graduate who I taught last year. We were having a little discussion, if I can find it. There it is. And I want to kind of end my homily here. We were talking about the events of the last week. And by the way, we're on different sides of the aisle. But that's good, because our conversation ended this way. This is so sad. This is the way the devil works. His way into our lives. He makes us focused on him and takes our sight away from the vision of love that God has shown us. How true. 22 years old. How true. Can learn so much from so many people. Let us remember, we are people of love. We're on a mission of love. Let us never forget that. Let us remember that where there is unity, there is victory, and we are community. You cannot spell community without unity.